Aspiring Christian presents Christians Killed Slavery. Hey, Aspiring Christian here. This video will argue that Christianity had a large role in the destruction of slavery. Specifically, the anti-slave trade movement had ample religious inspiration, which cannot be denied. Now, some will make the argument, which the pro-slavery crowd made in the 18th century, that because there are a few biblical passages related to slavery which don't indicate it as an evil. However, in this video, I'm going to present the evidence and reveal the history, which reflects the religious inspiration of the anti-slavery movement. William Wilberforce is a great example to start out with. William was a politician who was a leading voice in the fight against slavery. He started serving in the late 18th century. Quoting from Dear Africa, citation below, Wilberforce's involvement in the abolition movement was motivated by a desire to put his Christian principles into action and to serve God in public life, end quote. The author's name is also in the citation below. And this idea and proof of this can be corroborated by a litany of sources for anyone who may be interested. William Wilberforce brought bills on ending the slave trade 8 separate times between 1791 and 1805. It was an obsession. He was relentless about it. Now, on to America. Quoting from Bryn Mawr University, the Religious Society of Friends Quakers was the first corporate body in Britain and North America to fully condemn slavery as both ethically and religiously wrong in all circumstances. It is in Quaker records that we have some of the earliest manifestations of anti-slavery sentiment, dating from the 1600s. After the 1750s, Quakers actively engaged in attempting to sway public opinion in Britain and America against the slave trade and slavery in general. At the same time, Quakers became actively involved in the economic, educational, and political well-being of the formerly enslaved, end quote. Then, of course, one must mention the religious views of Abraham Lincoln in this argument as well. In his first inaugural address, Lincoln stated, near the end of it, intelligence, patriotism, Christianity, and a firm reliance on Him who has never yet forsaken this favored land are still competent to adjust in the best way our all present difficulty. Now, I can make this video hours long with example after example of the Christian views and motivations of a litany of anti-slavery activists or politicians. Obviously, I don't need to make this argument. I would not even have the attention span to watch that video, let alone make it. Now, any effort to ignore the efforts of Christians to end slavery, especially as their writings against it started very early, is a slap in the face to the men who fought against it, and to the people which their efforts helped. And in spite of all the ridicule and persecution which Christians faced to help slaves when it wasn't in their self-interest, they still fought, and fought hard. They fought because they believed that slavery was a moral evil which could not be justified in Christian theology. To understand why it was their Christianity which led anti-slavery actors in society to rail against, one must have a good grasp of Christian theology as a whole. For example, the second most important commandment which Jesus lays out is for people to love their neighbors as themselves. Who would want to be taken from their home, thrown on a boat, and to suffer under extreme slave conditions? Who would want that for themselves? Who would want for themselves to have no control over their own destiny? Thus, in line with Christian theology, it seems obvious why slavery would be a moral evil. How could a Christian possibly justify the slave trade or the treatment of slaves given this? Because of course many Christians had a profit interest. That is why. And that's it. Just as it is today, people will do all sorts of mental gymnastics when it comes to moral wrongdoing for the sake of money. 1 Timothy 6:10 does state that the love of money is the root of all evil. Secular people who take a few verses mentioning slavery and conclude Christianity can only be seen as a religion which is supportive of slavery are completely absurd, in my opinion. This view is extremely lacking in nuance, misses larger theological understanding, and I believe are intellectually disingenuous, and it's often a way to avoid giving Christians any credit for any societal moral good which has come from them at all. Thanks for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed, subscribe. To the believers, God bless. And to the non-believers, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.